Now, those are the pliers. Now to the wrenches. You've probably seen this in your local mechanic shop. You've probably seen this at your local hardware store. These are socket wrenches, okay? These work great. Why? Because all you got to do is, if you want to turn clockwise, for you is clockwise or counterclockwise. I'm trying to adjust for the camera. Um, Beautiful thing about it is that this is a 3/8 socket, by the way. So make sure when you have socket wrenches, you have the right sockets that go with them. Okay. They have a release on the head, so that way you can take out the socket and you can put another one in. Now, sometimes some of them could be very fresh and it will not go in so easily. You push the same button and then you can bring the socket right in and it'll hold on tight. Okay. It won't come out. Another thing about socket wrenches, some wrenches are made with the ability that you can add a pipe to it for the added leverage. So that way you can apply a ton of torque. Okay. Not all. So you can run the risk of breaking your ratchet wrench if it's not rated for that. So just be careful. You can break it or just severely damage whatever it is you're working on. So just keep that in mind. Another thing about ratchet wrenches, they also come insulated. Okay. Does the same functions. Okay. The difference is just that this can handle, I want to say, up to 1,000 volts. Okay. These are usually what you will find with your electrician, especially when they're working with high voltage. You will see them use this. Even some things that are even lower voltage, you will still see them use this. Why? Because electrical arcs are dangerous. Shocks, electrocution, still dangerous. So you'll see this. And the nice thing about sockets and socket wrenches, if it's the same size, you can have two different wrenches that'll fit the same socket. Okay? That's the cool thing about them. There is a wrench that I do not have because I haven't had a need to have it so far, but maybe I'll get one. It's called a torque wrench. Okay? And the reason why I'm mentioning about it is because it looks just like a socket wrench. The difference is just that either on the head or on the handle, it will have some kind of dial or a digital display to show, so that way you could determine how much torque is supposed to be applied to whatever it is you're working on. So, for example, a torque wrench could look similar to this, but let's just say a mechanical one, it'll have a dial on the handle that you could turn, and it will either be for imperial or standard measurements. It could be foot pounds or inch pounds. Metric also have something that's comparable for their measurements as well. You turn it to the right. You turn it to the right torque that you need. You apply it. You torque. If it's a mechanical one, sometimes you will hear like a certain click in the handle, and then you see it won't go anymore. That's how you know. Or if it's a digital display, sometimes they come with a sound feature. So when it hits the right torque, it makes a beep and it stops you from torquing more than that. Torque wrenches. This guy right here is a combination wrench. Okay, this is the most common wrench you will see. You've seen them with two open-ended heads. You've seen them with two closed-ended heads, and you've seen them like this with one open-ended, one closed-ended. It will have the measurement on it. One measurement, usually it means that both sides are that measurement for that type. So if it's for the closed end, it will still be like this one is 7/8. It will be 7/8 on the closed. It'll be 7/8 on the open. Beautiful thing about these wrenches, you could apply a lot of torque to something with this. Another beautiful thing about them is that these work very well when you're putting things into place. So if let's just say you need to hold a nut in this one spot. Well, holding it with your hand, when you got to put a lot of torque on one side to get it in, could make that nut start spinning freely because your hand grip may not be strong enough. That's where this comes into play. And this will hold that in place while you put the torque in, so that way you can get it through. Okay. I would recommend something like this for sure in your toolkit. This is the same thing as the other combination wrench, except you hear that sound? That's a ratcheting feature. Many of these have that ratchet feature, which works great. So I also recommend this. This guy right here, they're the same thing, literally. just different sizes. We usually call these Crescent wrench, but that's really the nickname. Crescent is actually the company brand name. These are adjustable wrenches, and they use this adjustment screw, in order to fit different sizes. As you can see, the smaller one can only go but so large, whereas the bigger one can go much further. And sometimes you may not know what size the nut or bolt or screw is that you're working on. You may not know the size of it, and you might need this to get it. Or maybe it might be a tad bit stripped and you don't have a wrench available. This guy works. Now, here's the thing, because this adjusts, this head does move a little bit. It has a little bit of give when you're applying a lot of torque. So just keep that in mind when you're working with these. Now, this may kind of like, shift a little bit under immense pressure, right? Keep that in mind. I will say this again. Please, please, please remember, this is not a hammer. Do not use this as a hammer. It is not a hammer, okay? Now, going on to this big boy. This is a pipe wrench. For a lot of younger guys, can't believe I'm saying that. A lot of younger guys, pipes were a lot thicker. Oh, granted, some pipes are still, still quite thick, like black steel pipes and things like that. They will use pipe wrenches like these to turn the pipes, adjust the pipes, things like that. That's mainly what this is for. You can place a pipe on this for added leverage. This works similarly to how this crescent wrench would. Same concept. And also with the adjustment feature, because this is a adjustment nut on this case, instead of a screw, this is an adjustment nut. This head shifts a little bit, but it grabs all the more. When you're using this, make sure that when you're turning in the direction of the handle going towards the front of the wrench, not this way, okay? Not going towards the back of the wrench. You want to turn towards the front of the wrench. Why? Because you then cause the wrench to bite even harder on whatever it is that you're trying to move. So this is your friend. There's so many different types of these. There's some types that are like offsets where this same jaw is actually up here, so that way you can actually engage a pipe like this without having to try and go around and over the pipe. All right. These have a nice tight hold. These are heavy duty, so it helps you sometimes when you want to put a lot of torque to something. These are your friend in many ways. So make sure you remember that. Okay. For those of you who are going into plumbing, this will be your friend. A lot of houses, a lot of places are going PEX, so they're using plastic piping. So you don't see this a lot as much in residential uses unless the place is older. Granted, though, or if let's just say you're living in, maybe you're working in places like the suburbs, and you may not see these as much. But there are folks who, are working in urban areas, who work in like metropolitan areas, and many apartment buildings and sky rises still use metal pipes. This will work out a lot for you and help you out. This guy right here is your faucet wrench. Okay. This literally goes behind the basin of your sink, and you can tighten or loosen your faucet from the other side of the sink. Okay. It's spring loaded, so that way you don't have to try and fit two hands on either side to try and get this in place. And when you're turning this, please turn in the direction of the back of the wrench. All right. Actually, excuse me. In this case, it's hard to see, but please, like if you're going, for you, it'll be clockwise. All right. Go that way. All right. Like where I am to you, if I'm trying to loosen something, I will go this way. If I'm trying to tighten something, I'll flip it over and I'll go this way. All right. So for you to tighten, you'll go this way, and to loosen, you'll go this way. And that's because with this spring-loaded jaw, it it holds on tighter when you're turning towards. I guess you could say kind of. I guess you could say you're turning in the same direction as the jaw is curved. towards the back of the jaw. You're turning in that direction. As you do that, the jaw will tighten up on whatever is gripped onto. If you turn it towards, I guess you could say, the opening of the jaw in this direction, what will happen is the jaw will actually just open up all the more, and it won't grab anything. It'll just keep opening, and then you'll just lose your grip. So you lose your hold on whatever it is. And the beautiful thing about it is that it has this bar right here, so that way you can move it. Because some areas you cannot get a full rotation of this wrench. Sometimes you gotta to get it out or get it in. So it's something to keep in mind. This guy right here is also a faucet wrench. Works similarly, except it doesn't have all those added features. It fits so many different types of faucets, of course. Doesn't mean it's all of them, but a lot of different types. So it's something to also keep in mind. If you get into plumbing, just remember that. For my telecom guys, this is a can wrench. This is your friend when it comes to opening certain enclosures. Also, there's certain fasteners that use this same size. You can use it for that, but this is more so used for opening and closing enclosures for telecom. Okay. And last but not least, the strap wrench. Okay. This may not look like much of a wrench, but it actually is. This, as you can see, is best used for cylindrical objects. If you're trying to turn a pipe, for example, that can easily collapse, the last thing you want to use is this guy right here. Because of it being a softer material, it could wrap nicely. This is rubber, so not only wrap nicely around the pipe, for example, but this will actually work really well with gripping the pipe. And it's not just pipes that this works on. It's any object that this could basically get around and lock back in place. And all you have to do is once you get the strap all the way back across around back through the handle here, you turn the handle in the direction opposite of where the strap came from, and you turn. As you do so, you realize that it tightens up on that object, and then you see yourself having equal force around the object to turn it in whatever direction you need. This is great for pipe work, as I was describing earlier. Okay, so yeah, that's that guy. For the average homeowner, DIYer who's just starting on stuff. This is not for people who have gotten a little used to working on their house or anything. This is just your beginning, just now learning tools, now understanding how you can use these things and all that. Your starting tools will be channel locks. I'm gonna use the nicknames, so just bear with me. It's channel locks and or tongue and groove pliers, slip joint pliers, your combination pliers. You could switch between the two. It's not too much of a big deal if you go between the slip joint and or the combination, but you could get either. I would recommend more of the slip joint than the combination, because if you have a pair of linemen's, you can kind of do the same thing similarly. But if you have these two, you're good. Needle nose pliers, dikes or diagonal cutters, a nail puller, flush cutters. See that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. You want this guy, at least two, just like this guy. You want to have at least two of them. Definitely have these. All right. But you definitely want to have sockets. Okay. A socket set, and let it be both metric and standard or imperial measurements. Wrenches. All right. These I count as one because they both are combination wrenches, but definitely have one of each type. All right. They will help you greatly. And last but not least, these crescent wrenches or adjustable wrenches. Make sure you also have these. Okay. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay. So it came out to be 11. You don't need it to be 11. You can kind of interchange at least when it comes to these ones. If you want to have the combination pliers, you can. The Lyman one, the combination pliers, usually they open up a little more on the handle. That, but it's no big deal if you don't have them. Make sure you have those tools, those 11 tools. They will help you in majority of the work that you do at home. It will help you majority of the projects you may go on, especially if you're a beginning apprentice. Um, there are some jobs that are specialized that are not going to require some of these tools. That's fine. Just know that generally speaking, for your general apprentice, your general homeowner, your beginner DIYer, you want to have those tools available to you in your inventory. So that way you can start whatever project it is. And then after that, depending on what the project is, then you could evolve in getting more tools and whatnot. So keep that in mind. And yeah, that's all we got. And thank you for watching. Please like, share, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.